Hello, I'm Melvin Smith, Associate Professor of Organizational Behavior and Faculty Director of Executive Education at the Weatherhead School of Management, Case Western Reserve University. Today we'll be covering the topics of emotional intelligence and resonant leadership. Now, more specifically, what we'll be talking about today is really helping you understand how outstanding leaders, and I mean truly outstanding leaders, how they're able to harness the power of positive emotions and how that makes them so effective as leaders. We also want to help you become more familiar with the model of emotional intelligence and its associated competencies. We then want to help you understand how those competencies help contribute to effective performance in the workplace. And then finally, we want to give you an appreciation for a process that can be used to enhance your overall leadership effectiveness and to develop your emotional intelligence competencies. Now, to begin today, a fundamental question we want to address is, what is it that truly distinguishes outstanding leaders? And like I said before, I mean truly outstanding leaders. What is it that distinguishes them from individuals who just happen to be in a senior leadership position or a significant level of management within the organization? And we argue that there is a difference, right? Just because you happen to be in a senior leadership position doesn't necessarily mean you're an outstanding leader, right? So what is it that distinguishes those outstanding leaders? Now, to begin to answer that question, I want to start with a brief exercise. Now, your facilitator will walk you through the details of the exercise, but to set it up, what I want you to do is to think about two different people. First of all, I want you to think about someone that you consider to be a truly great leader, right? It could be someone you've worked with or for in the past. It could be someone you're working with or for presently. It could be someone you don't even know personally, but you know of them through the media. For instance, a publicly traded company CEO or a political figure, past or present. But think of one specific person. Then think of a few words, phrases, or characteristics that come to mind when you think of that person, right? The other thing I want to have you do in this exercise is think of a very different type of person, someone you think is a pretty lousy leader. Again, same criteria as before, someone you worked with or for in the past, or maybe even presently. But again, I want you to think about a few words, phrases, or characteristics that come to mind when you think of that person. What makes you say they're such a lousy leader? As I said, your facilitator will walk you through the details of that exercise, so we'll break so you can do that now. When we come back, I'll give you a few summary observations and we'll get ready to move on. All right. An interesting thing about the exercise you just conducted is that I've been doing that exercise for years now, as well as a number of my colleagues here at Weatherhead have been doing that same exercise as well. And the interesting thing is the results of that exercise are always the same. It doesn't matter what group you're working with. It doesn't matter whether you're working with a group of very senior executives, a group of middle managers, a group of frontline employees. It doesn't matter if you're working with people in the manufacturing industry, the financial services industry. You can be working with accountants, lawyers, engineers, marketers. I mean, it doesn't matter. You could be working in the US, in Scotland, Australia. It doesn't matter. The results are always the same, which tells me a couple of things. It tells me that, one, there are some fundamental truths about outstanding leadership and what we want to be, what we want to experience in our leaders and how we like to be led. Also, two, it tells me that we already know what it means to be a great leader. We know what that looks like, right? We haven't even gotten into the content of the session, but I guarantee you in your discussion of the exercise, you pulled out some of the key points we're going to be discussing over the next several minutes here. Now, the thing is, however, what we find is if it's so fundamental in nature, and if we all know what it means to be great leaders, why don't we have more great leaders, right? Why don't we have more people that fell in that left-hand column of your page versus that right-hand column of the exercise, right? Well, what we often like to say is that great leadership is really a lot about more common sense, but not necessarily common practice, right? So one of the things we want to do today is to kind of help move it from that notion of being common sense to help give you some tools to move forward and make it more common practice.